To become the strongest cyber mecha in history, I spent all my savings to buy a dung beetle, and fighting back the disgust, swallowed it whole. Seeing this, everyone laughed, thinking I had gone truly insane. But what they didn't know was that the mecha apocalypse was about to descend. Half of the global population would, based on the last food they ate, awaken their own life-bound mechas. Someone ate a pigeon, and their mecha sprouted wings, soaring through the 9 heavens, and roaming freely across the world. Someone ate a Komodo dragon, and awakened a giant beast mecha, riding it across the globe. A bodybuilder even swallowed a strength pill, transforming directly into a Hercules mecha, capable of shattering a planet with a single punch. As for me in my past life, although I ate a roast chicken and successfully awakened my life-bound mecha, it was incredibly useless. I was framed and besieged by villains, and died filled with regret. Now, reborn, the very first thing I must do is to eat various powerful insects as quickly as possible. By collecting specimens early and gaining their talents, I will definitely eradicate the evils of this world and become the ultimate ruler. Then, I remembered that in my past life, there was an insect auction at an exhibition. One of the bugs there was exactly what I needed. So, I immediately took a taxi to the insect exhibition. Since it was the first of its kind in the city, quite a crowd had gathered. However, people's interest in the golden-backed scarab wasn't very high. There were only a handful of bids. I bid 8,000. At that moment, a bespectacled white-collar man in a shirt stood up and raised his paddle. This man, nicknamed Bugfan, was quite a well-known figure locally. Hearing Bugfan's bid of 8,000, the others stopped bidding. This price had already exceeded their limits. 8,000 going once. 8,000 going twice. 8,000 going. Wait, I bid 10,000. Just as the auctioneer was about to drop the gavel, ignoring the crowd looking at me like I was an idiot, I walked straight up to the auction stage. Although an ant can lift objects over 400 times its own body weight, compared to the dung beetle, it falls completely short. A scarab can lift objects 1,141 times its own weight. If I could absorb the scarab's genes, my combat power would undoubtedly skyrocket. Seeing an unexpected challenger step in, Bugfan was extremely annoyed. He raised his bid again, 10,500. 15,000? I immediately countered. Hearing such a ridiculous bid, Bugfan looked me up and down and asked in a displeased tone, "This golden-backed scarab isn't even that rare. What are you buying it for?" "To eat." Boom. As soon as I said that, the entire venue immediately burst into an uproar. Bugfan was stunned at first, then joined the crowd in bursting into laughter. Haha, this guy is obviously out of his mind. Just let me have it for 8,000. Hearing this, the auctioneer looked quite displeased. "Sir, if you're just here to cause trouble, I'm going to have to call security." Without another word, I pulled out my bank card. "Do you take cards?" The auctioneer skeptically swiped the card. His face instantly lit up with joy. Seeing no further bids, he slammed his gavel down. Sold. Transaction completed. People these days are really crazy. Some eat grasshoppers, some eat centipedes, some eat scorpions, and now we have a guy eating a dung beetle. Isn't he afraid of poisoning himself? Haha. The crowd looked at me like I was a complete idiot. They couldn't comprehend such a waste of money. "Stop talking big. If you have the guts, eat it right in front of us." Seeing how unfazed I was, Bugfan was furious. "If you can actually eat it, I'll admit defeat today. But if you can't, you transfer the golden-backed scarab to me for 8,000. Deal?" I didn't want to entertain him, but I suddenly noticed a small box in his hand. Inside was a black and white insect. "Is that diabolical ironclad beetle yours?" The ironclad beetle possesses the strongest exoskeleton of all arthropods. Unlike normal insects that get crushed with a single stomp, it can even survive being run over by a car. If the scarab represents ultimate strength, the ironclad beetle represents ultimate defense. So what if it is? If it's yours, let's make a bet. I'll eat this golden-backed scarab right here in front of everyone. And if I do, you give me that ironclad beetle. Upon hearing this, Bugfan hesitated. The ironclad beetle was a rare specimen, and he obviously didn't want to part with it. But with so many people watching, many of whom were acquaintances, he couldn't afford to lose face. Suddenly he gritted his teeth, his eyes turning fierce. "Fine, but you have to eat it first. I bet you don't actually have the guts." "No problem." With that, I pinched the scarab between my fingers. Compared to the twisted, mutated abominations of my past life, this scarab was basically a delicacy. "Eat it." "What, are you scared now? It's just a little dung beetle. If you really don't dare to eat it, you don't have to force yourself." Bugfan continued to taunt me. I just chuckled, tossed it cleanly into my mouth, and started chewing with a loud crunch. Seeing this, the crowd instantly went dead silent. After gulping it all down, I held out my palm, signaling for Bugfan to hand over the beetle. Bugfan's face stiffened. Reluctantly, he pulled out the small box. "Hold on, I'll take that ironclad beetle." Before I could even take it, a young man walked over, flanked by 2 muscular men in black tank tops. The Red Rhino Mecha and Hong Hai. I suddenly remembered this young man was the future top expert who would rule all of Ning City. The Red Rhino Mecha was devastatingly powerful. When it charged, it could literally shatter a mountain. During the first few years of the apocalypse, I was completely under the control of An Hong Hai's men. If I hadn't taken the opportunity to sneak away during a scavenging run, I would have been reduced to a pile of bones at their hands. Right at that moment, a mechanical voice suddenly echoed in my ears. "Golden-backed scarab gene absorption 100% complete. Tier 1 insectoid universal mecha, advanced to Titan mecha form." Glancing at the Titan mecha stats, I couldn't help but feel ecstatic. Although the other 3 attributes were a bit low, its strength stat alone completely overpowered many Tier 2 mechas. Not to mention it came with an even more broken God-level exclusive module. Not only did it grant a 50% strength bonus, but it could also be upgraded further. Thinking of this, I snatched the ironclad beetle right out of Bugfan's grip, and Honkai watched this, a cocky smirk appearing on his face. Hey buddy, hand that bug over. As for the price, I'll pay double. That's fair enough, right? Sorry, I don't need money. Seeing the massive crowd pressing in, my heart tightened. I decided to leave immediately. With so many people around, if someone suddenly awakened a mutated mecha, I could be in trouble despite my strength. I said, give that bug to me. Are you deaf? Seeing that I was ignoring him, An Hongai immediately signaled his bodyguards to block my path. Facing these thugs, a surge of violent rage rushed to my head. The sheer killing intent I had accumulated in my past life spilled out entirely unreserved. It terrified the two men so much they froze in place, trembling. You've got guts. You've got some real freaking guts. No one in Ning City has ever dared to humiliate me in public like this. Who the hell do you think you are? He stepped right up to my face, scowling, and aggressively snatched at the box. I backhanded him, swatting his hand away, and walked out without looking back. The entire room went dead silent. Everyone was absolutely dumbfounded. He's basically tearing off young Master An's face and stomping it into the dirt. And Hung Hai's face turned completely crimson. He shot a vicious glare at his two bodyguards. The bodyguards grit their teeth and launched a brutal kick right at my back. Just as their feet were about to connect, a flash of golden light erupted behind me. The next second, a towering 3-meter-tall black and gold mecha materialized out of nowhere. The Titan mecha had fully materialized. Looking at it from afar, a terrifying aura exploded outwards like a tidal wave. The moment the mecha appeared, I spun around and shattered both bodyguards' legs with a single punch. The sight terrified the onlookers, leaving their legs weak. I then stepped right up to An Honghai. Staring up at this massive mecha, An Honghai was utterly terrified, but he tried his best to put on a brave face and stammered, "Hehe, my friend, let's talk this out. Just pretend everyone's eyes played tricks on them earlier. How about we become friends?" I sneered. The giant mecha arm swung up into the sky. A terrifying pressure crashed down like a mountain, and Honkai completely broke down and collapsed to the ground. Facing such a terrifying monster, he was so scared he nearly wet himself. However, I didn't actually strike. It was just a feint. After all, to upgrade my mecha, I still need mecha cores. If I killed him right now, wouldn't I be throwing away a perfectly good resource? Relax. I don't plan on causing trouble right now. We'll catch up some other day. With that, I pushed off the ground and dashed far away in a flash. In the blink of an eye, I vanished from everyone's sight. Staring at my retreating back, An Hongai's eyes turned instantly fierce. I'll remember you, kid. Acting arrogant just because you're wearing iron armor. When my troops arrive, never mind your broken iron shell, even a 30-meter Titan behemoth, I'll still crush into dust. But what he didn't know was, once the mutation begins, the environment and all matter will change. By then, all weapons will become scrap metal. The only way for people to survive is through their awakened innate mecha. After leaving the exhibition, I quickly deactivated my mecha and went home. I eagerly heated some oil to fry up the armored beetle. Here we go again. Sprinkled some cumin and chili powder. Crunch, crunch. With loud crunching sounds, eating this armored beetle was like chewing eggshells. It was quickly devoured clean. With one gulp, a transparent floating countdown screen appeared before my eyes. Ironclad beetle gene acquired. Upgrading Tier 1 Insect Soldier Universal Mecha. Upgrade time, 9 minutes 58 seconds. It seems the Insect Soldier Universal Mecha is still just a basic mecha at this early stage. To strengthen it, I need to keep collecting materials, especially for the agility attribute. That urgently needs improvement. Although the apocalypse officially starts the day after tomorrow, many creatures have already started mutating. I fell deep into thought. Once the apocalypse begins, various creatures will evolve incredibly fast. Not to mention that in the later stages, alien races will invade in massive numbers. I am the will of the world. I am the order. There will even be so-called gods appearing. I am the will of the world. I am the law. I am the order. I clearly remember in my past life there was a god named Quentin. There was a god named Quentin. You are too naive. If I absorb him, I wonder how strong the upgraded mecha would be. Maybe then I'll be able to slay a god too. However, while I was zoning out, knock knock knock, a sudden knocking came from the door. Who is it? I quickly rushed to open it. What met my eyes was a pair of long, pale legs. Looking up, two towering peaks entered my sight. Where are you looking? What a creep. I'm telling you, pay your rent in full tomorrow, and then move out. Did you hear me? It's not tomorrow yet. What's the rush? I stared at the woman in front of me with an odd expression. I just fear she won't live long enough to spend the money. Hearing my disdainful tone, the woman got even more worked up and started nagging endlessly, but I'm in no mood to listen to her right now. Upgraded to Aegis Mecha form. Ironclad Beetle Gene Absorption complete. Tier 1 Insect Soldier Universal Mecha upgraded to Aegis Mecha form. The Aegis Mecha is stronger than I imagined, especially the 50% physical damage reduction. Even attacks from Tier 2 monsters are nothing to fear for me. The 20% elemental resistance is also highly precious. Not only can it resist wind, fire, and lightning attacks, it can also nullify mental damage. Before my excitement could settle down, another notification sounded. Continue to absorb 3 more insect genes to unlock Mecha Form Fusion. Mecha Form Fusion. I was greatly shocked. This is a true god tier skill. Once fused, the weaknesses of a single mecha form will be covered. By then, I will have no blind spots. Awesome. I'm talking to you. Are you listening? She mutated early? I was slightly startled. Instantly, the Aegis mecha behind me automatically covered my body. Why won't you listen to me? The woman walked slowly towards me. Her flesh rapidly proliferated. In the blink of an eye, she grew into a 3-meter tall flesh giant, armed with sharp dual claws. The next second, she swung her sharp claws and howled at me. I instinctively dodged sideways. Combat skills from my past life surged up, allowing me to dodge easily. Slash! The claws brushed past the Aegis mecha, and like a knife cutting through tofu, easily sank into the concrete wall behind me. Missing her target, the woman pulled out her claws and attacked again. But this time, I didn't dodge. I simply wanted to test how strong the Aegis mecha's defense really was. The claws scraped across the mecha's surface, making a sharp screeching sound. After the strike, the woman's claws were instantly mangled, her nails shattered. But the Aegis mecha didn't have a single scratch. Inside the mecha, I felt absolutely nothing. The Aegis mecha's capabilities are truly astounding. Then, it's my turn. I shouted deeply, slamming the woman against the wall. Then, I switched to the Titan mecha and smashed her head with a single punch. Killed Tier 1 mutated blood zombie. Obtained material. Agility blood core. Agility blood core? I didn't expect my luck to be this good. It actually dropped a blood core that boosts the agility attribute. I squeezed my hand slightly. With a cracking sound, the agility blood core suddenly shattered. Dark red blood gushed out from inside, dripping onto the mecha's surface. Consumed 1 agility blood core. Agility attribute increased. 4 points of agility is still not quite enough, I thought to myself. Since my agility isn't high enough, I need to find the fastest insect. After some research, I narrowed it down to 2. One is the tiger beetle, the other is the dragonfly. In terms of pure speed, the dragonfly is faster and it has flying capabilities. But the aerial environment is far more complex than land, and much more dangerous. For the sake of my life, I should put that off for now. Let's go with the tiger beetle. A tiger beetle can move 171 times its body length per second. Scaled up to my 1.8 meter height, it could almost catch up to the speed of sound. With my next target set, I wanted to keep searching for more insect information. Just then, the phone on my computer desk suddenly started vibrating wildly. I looked puzzled, picked it up, and swiped to answer. I heard a deep, middle-aged man's voice from the other end. Is this Mr. Huang? Spit it out. I'm very short on time. My name is Chu Jiazhen. I highly appreciate the item you possess. Also, I've had some very strange things happening on my end. Perhaps you might know the reason. Chu Jiazhen, the richest man in Ning City, dominating real estate and dining. I would like to invite Mr. Huang Ting to be my guest. What do you say? Faced with Chu Jiazhen's invitation, I agreed without hesitation. Sure. After all, being alone right now means I lack power. If I have a major faction backing me, it'll be easier to transition. Besides, rumor has it Chu Jiazhen owns a giant botanical garden. The insects inside must be countless. On one hand, I can use his power to get through the mutation phase. On the other hand, I can find a tiger beetle to upgrade my mecha. It's killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Soon, 22.5 minutes later, I arrived safely at the botanical garden. At this moment, an old man in a tailored suit was sitting under a mushroom-shaped pavilion. It was Chu Jiazhen. Standing beside him was a girl with a single ponytail. She wasn't tall, but was very easy on the eyes. Behind them, over 40 men in black bodyguards were scattered in every corner, waiting for orders at any moment. Chu Jiazhen had been sizing me up from the start. Seeing me act so calmly, a trace of surprise flashed in his eyes. He actually caught a scent from me, the scent of a rival. Interesting. Mr. Huang Ting, the reason I invited you here, just call me Huang Ting. I came here today, first for those strange things you mentioned. Second, I need to borrow some of your forces. You're quite direct. I have to be direct. After all, the end of the world is coming soon. End of the world? You've been watching too many movies. Haha. President Chu, don't test me. As long as you don't harm my interests, I won't lay a hand on you. On the contrary, we could even cooperate. Chu Jiazhen looked embarrassed. It was the first time he had been called out so directly. He quickly changed the subject. Is what you said about the end of the world true? Of course. If I'm not mistaken, the strange things you mentioned should be related to this. Seeing how certain I was about the connection, Chu Jiazhen hesitated for a moment before leading us to a corner of the botanical garden. There was a peculiar building here, guarded by 10 bodyguards in black at the entrance. Everyone was armed with live ammunition and well equipped. Boss, things don't look good. The captain, A Liang, handed over a tablet. The 4 surveillance feeds on the screen were absolutely spine-chilling. I took one glance at the first screen and immediately recognized the common blood corpse. Blood corpse have no sanity and are extremely ravenous. They will devour every living thing in sight, even their own kind. The last screen, however, was quite strange. It only showed a tall woman who was about 2 meters tall. It was actually an elite mutant. I didn't expect that before the apocalypse even started, an elite mutant would already appear. She was the captain of my bodyguard squad. Since yesterday, she started acting abnormally. I had no choice but to lock her up in here. I nodded in understanding and pushed the door to enter. After all, these mutants drop crafting materials when killed. How could I miss out on that? Wait, no entry allowed. A Liang, don't be rude to our guest. Chu Jiazhen's expression changed slightly, carefully observing my reaction. With an apologetic look, he said, A Liang is just worried about your safety. I waved my hand to show I didn't mind. Then, with a mere thought, a black and gold Titan mecha instantly equipped itself onto my body. Seeing this tall, mighty, and dazzlingly handsome mecha, Chu Jiazhen could no longer keep his composure, looking completely shocked. Chu Hui's eyes also sparkled. She specialized in material science, but she had no idea where the materials of my mecha came from. However, just as everyone was in shock, a sudden burst of gunfire erupted, mixed with the monster's roars and the curses of others. Oh no, something happened. Captain A Liang's face changed immediately, and he instinctively looked at Chu Jiazhen. Chu Jiajian's expression also tightened. He knew exactly how terrifying those monsters were. Boss, we better leave now. It'll be too late if we don't. At this time, the blood corpse originally in room 2 had already broken out, slaughtering the guards inside. Many guards had been torn to pieces and absorbed into its body. As it continuously fed on the corpses, the aura of the blood corpse became increasingly violent. The remaining guards gave up resisting and scrambled out one by one. Right at this moment, a black and gold mecha walked against the fleeing guards, heading deep into the building. Boss, so many of our brothers are no match for that monster. Can your guest handle it? Liang still didn't believe I could withstand this monster. Dad, tell Wang Ting to come back. We should let the military handle this kind of monster. Seeing such a bloody scene for the first time, Chu Hui was also feeling deeply uneasy. But just as Chu Jiajian gestured for Liang to go in, they saw on the monitor that I had already clashed with the enraged blood corpse. Whoosh! The blood corpse's massive fist brushed past my body and slammed down. The marble-paved floor instantly cracked into cobweb-like fractures. Quite a lot of strength. As expected, even after being enhanced by the agility blood core, the Titan mecha's speed was still slightly lacking. In that case, I might as well finish this quickly. I took a big stride forward and fiercely slammed into the blood corpse's chest. The blood corpse, which was taller than a one-storied building, was instantly sent flying backward, crashing heavily into the wall behind it. Even though Chu Jiajian and the others were outside, they could still feel the ground shaking around them. Liang swallowed hard, with lingering fear and absolute shock. Is he even human? Back then, just to move this monster, we had to deploy 2 10-ton cranes. That's why I told you to show him respect. Now, do you see the power he wields? Chu Jiajian was not only shocked, but also deeply worried. He was thinking much further ahead than Liang. The secret behind the appearance of these monsters was the biggest motivation for him to swallow his pride and befriend me. On the screen, I didn't give the blood corpse any chance to breathe. I dashed right back up to it and blasted a punch straight into its chest. The massive iron fist pierced right through its flesh, smashing the wall behind it to pieces before finally stopping. Killed mutated blood corpse. Tier 1. Obtain material, strength blood core. I immediately grabbed the strength blood core and walked outside. Judging from the surveillance feed just now, the elite mutant that Lisa had turned into had incredible speed. If I fought her now, it would be a death sentence. It wouldn't be too late to fight her after finding a tiger beetle and upgrading to a new mecha model. As for the other 2 blood cores, I kept them alive because they would be useful. Seeing me retract my mecha and slowly walk out, Chu Hui was the first to rush over, inspecting me with great curiosity. Meanwhile, Chu Jiajian and Liang eagerly praised me, admiring me with the utmost respect. However, I didn't waste time. I pulled out a picture of a tiger beetle I had saved earlier, and asked Boss Chu to help me find this insect. Thankfully, many hands make light work. In no time, Liang returned with a glass jar. Inside, it was exactly the tiger beetle I needed. Don't tell me, you're going to eat it? I didn't deny it. I immediately pinched the struggling tiger beetle and tossed it into my mouth to acquire the tiger beetle's genes. Currently modifying the Tier 1 Insect Soldier Universal Mecha. Wang Ting, what do you plan to do with the remaining monsters? The elite mutant? I will deal with her personally later. As for the other 2 blood cores, I'll leave them to you, Boss Chu, and Miss Chu Hui. As soon as these words came out, Chu Jiajian furrowed his brows, while Chu Hui's face turned completely pale with fear. Are you kidding me? How could I possibly deal with that kind of monster? After a brief silence, Chu Jiajian finally spoke up. You want us to take action? Does it have something to do with the mecha you're wearing? As expected of a giant in the business world, he was able to point right to the core and see the crux of the matter. So Boss Chu, do you want it? It would be a lie to say he wasn't tempted. But he also knew very well that relying on his own strength alone, it would be absolutely impossible to defeat such monsters. Boss Chu, you don't need to give an answer right away. You can think about it. However, I don't have much time. No need to think about it. I want this kind of technology or ability. If you have any other conditions, just name them. Chu Jiajian readily agreed. As the saying goes, even a pig can fly on the crest of a wave. I pondered for a moment and finally said, if I ever need help in the future, I hope President Chu will assist me once, regardless of the cost. All right, I promise you, even if it costs my life. But I have one condition, which is that Chu Hui is not bound by this agreement. Dad, what are you saying? Chu Hui's eyes turned red. She threw herself into Chu Jiajian's arms, tears falling constantly. Deal. In 2.5 days, at 12 noon, most living creatures will undergo a mutation. Blood corpses are the most common type. As for those who don't mutate, they will awaken their corresponding origin mechas. But you'll need to eat some highly nutritious food. Origin mecha. Chu Jiajian muttered to himself, his body trembling violently. He was no fool, and immediately realized the connection between the 2. He quickly waved Liang over. Pass down the order. Take the pair of mammoth tusks and Argentavis fossils in the collection room, grind them into powder, and stew them. However, right at this moment, a sudden noisy voice came from the entrance of the botanical garden. Hey, Chu Hui, so you really are here. Why are you here again? I've told you I don't like you. Stop pestering me. Chu Hui's expression turned cold, giving An Honghai no face at all. And Honghai wasn't annoyed, and just chuckled. But the next second, he noticed me standing next to Chu Jiajian, and his face instantly clouded over. You little punk. I haven't gone looking for you yet, and you actually delivered yourself to the door. And Honghai, he is my dad's guest. Stop messing around here. Guest? Uncle Chu, don't be fooled by this guy. That mecha on him is just a bluff. At most, it gives him a bit more strength. It has no practical use at all. Thinking of this, he immediately turned to the 5 bodyguards behind him. After the exhibition incident, he had beefed up his security. These 5 men were all equipped with advanced firearms. Enough, Hong Hai. Uncle Chu has a guest today. I might not be able to entertain you well. Please excuse me. In the past, An Hong Kai naturally held more value to him. But now, I was far more important. Sensing his coldness and alienation, An Hong Kai became furious. He believed I was the main culprit for all of this. If you have the guts, show that broken piece of scrap metal of yours, and let's see if I can shoot you into a sieve. And Hong Kai raised one hand, and his bodyguards immediately pulled out their guns and aimed at me. Clatter. Seeing this, the black-clad bodyguards around me also raised their guns in a standoff. The atmosphere instantly became tense and anxious. Chu Jiazhen looked displeased. This was his territory after all. He was just about to scold them, but I stopped him. I glanced at the countdown that had half a minute left and showed a bright smile. Then let's give it a try. I just so happened to want to test out my mecha's new form. Just then, a familiar notification sounded in my ear. Ancient beetle gene fully absorbed. Tier 1 insectoid general mecha has evolved into the Thunderflash mecha form. Good heavens! The exclusive Thunderflash module increases burst speed by 30% and agility by 20%. After the mecha evolves, it can still be upgraded further. As long as I switch forms fast enough, my strength won't lose to a Tier 2 mecha. In fact, I'd be even stronger. Thinking of this, I took a few steps forward, my gaze fixing on An Hong Kai like a torch. I'll summon my mecha. If you can land even one hit, I lose. No, that's letting you off too easy. If I hit you, you'll have to crawl between my legs. Fine. But if I win, you'll bark like a dog 5 times for me. You're a simp anyway. Just consider it returning to your true nature. Who are you calling a simp? My feelings for Chu Hui are genuine, and Hong Hai immediately defended himself. I couldn't be bothered to talk to him. If I didn't need mecha cores for future upgrades, I would have finished him off long ago. With a thought, a mecha adorned with purple lightning patterns automatically equipped itself over my entire body. Stop spouting nonsense. Bring it on. I shouted in a low voice, my body ready to strike. And Hong Hai didn't waste any more time and slashed his hand downwards. Bang, bang, bang. A series of gunshots rang out rapidly. As the gunshots exploded, in that instant, I felt as if everything around me had slowed down. Over a dozen bullets flew at me from different directions, but they all seemed frozen in midair. I could even clearly see the trajectory of each bullet. Dodging sideways, all the bullets instantly embedded themselves into the wall behind me. Seeing this scene, An Hong Kai's eyes nearly popped out in terror. He actually dodged the bullets. Chu Jiazhen also shuddered. Only then did he realize that I had an even faster mecha. I just hadn't brought it out before. All bullets dodged. You lose. Thinking about having to bark like a dog in front of so many people, An Hong Kai's face immediately flushed red. He glared fiercely at me, his eyes carrying a hint of threat. But I wasn't going to let him have his way, and I spoke up. An Hong Kai, since you lost, honor our bet. Chu Jiazhen intended to ease the tension between us, but upon meeting my cold, emotionless eyes, he backed down. At this moment, he was truly a little afraid of me. Like the barks were burning his mouth, and Hong Hai quickly growled them out. Then, forcefully swallowing his resentment, he fled in disgrace with his subordinates. Watching his retreating figure, A Liang acknowledged swiftly, and then brought the stewed delicacy to the mushroom pavilion. Even though they weren't hungry, Chu Jiazhen and Chu Hui still gulped down the fossil powder broth in one go. After 2 agonizing roars, I broke the limbs of the remaining 2 blood corpses, and blasted away half of their bodies. Lying on the ground now, their life force was gradually fading. Receiving my signal, Chu Jiazhen walked into the room carrying a sledgehammer half the height of a person. Smash him to death. I stood aside with my arms crossed. Chu Jiazhen was a ruthless man. Even though the blood corpses looked terrifying, he slammed the hammer down heavily without hesitation. Squelch! A spurt of blood splashed out, spraying all over his face. Ultimately, the 2 blood corpses were killed one after another by Chu Hui and Chu Jiazhen. Soon, a flash of light passed by, and 2 majestic mechas appeared in the room. The mecha on Chu Jiazhen was entirely gray and white. The most striking feature was the huge mammoth tusks on its shoulders, which gleamed with a cold metallic light, exuding a chilling aura. Compared to Chu Jiazhen, Chu Hui's mecha appeared rather petite, but it possessed a pair of giant steel wings, looking incredibly intimidating. Needless to say, as long as no one ate a dinosaur or something, these should be considered top-tier animal genes. At this moment, regarding what I had said about the end of the world, Chu Jiazhen had no more doubts. Moreover, his favorability towards me had almost maxed out. If I truly had feelings for his daughter, it seemed he wouldn't mind. Alright, I'm going to take out Captain Lisa now. You guys familiarize yourselves with your respective mechas. After saying that, my figure flashed, heading straight for the final cell door. The moment I opened the door, a dark silhouette lunged at me. Such incredible speed. I was startled, but not afraid. I immediately dodged the dark figure's charge. Then, exerting force in my legs, my entire body acted like a fully compressed spring, instantly rebounding to Lisa's side. As the captain of security, Lisa possessed top-tier physical qualities in all aspects. Seeing a living creature get close, she swiftly swung her leg, attempting to knock me back. I let out a soft breath, and the Thunderflash mecha instantly transformed into the Sky Domain mecha. Then, I raised my arm and forcefully blocked her whip kick. The moment the two collided, a sharp sonic boom echoed throughout the building. Chu Hui, who was studying her mecha, and Chu Jiazhen heard this explosion. Their expressions tightened. They quickly morphed into a mammoth and a giant eagle, respectively, and rushed deep into the building. They thought I would be fighting a grueling battle, but when they arrived, they discovered that relying on the high agility advantage of my mecha, the mutated Lisa couldn't touch a single hair on me. On the contrary, after a prolonged scuffle, Lisa's body was covered in visible wounds that were constantly bleeding. She's almost drained. I flashed and appeared behind Lisa. My speed was so fast that she couldn't even react. Seizing this opportunity, I swiftly switched to the Titan Mecha. I threw a heavy punch. Even though Lisa's body was already tough enough to withstand bullets, beneath this punch, she was no different from tofu. I pierced through her effortlessly. Tier 1 elite mutated blood corpse killed. Material obtained: 1 vial of agility blood core, 1 bottle of defense blood core, 2 blood-colored bones, and 1 pair of sharp claws. The drop rate for blood-colored bones isn't high. I didn't expect them to drop this early. In the early stages of upgrading mechas, these are indispensable enhancement materials. But what excites me more are the metal claws. With a flash of white light, I placed the metal strip on my right hand. With a crisp click, the metal strip merged seamlessly with my hand. The claws popped out, looking a lot like Wolverine's. I then gave a light swing at the wall. The wall, made of high-quality steel, was instantly left with deep scratch marks. Now that I understood the claws' attack power, I switched to the lightning flash mecha form, crushed the defense blood core with one hand, and dripped the blood inside onto the mecha. Consumed: 1 bottle of defense blood core. Defense attribute +1. I still had 1 agility blood core left, so I used it to enhance the Titan Mecha. With this, the Titan Mecha's agility attribute reached 5 points. It's sufficient for now. But just in case, I decided I still needed to find an abandoned building to store some food, water, and basic daily necessities. This was an easy problem to solve. The Chu family's business was in real estate and catering. I just needed to find an abandoned, unfinished building, fortify it, and it could perfectly serve as a temporary shelter. Time ticked by, little by little. Soon, it was exactly 1 hour before the official mutation. Suddenly, a fleet of helicopters flew overhead, hovering continuously in midair. At this point, even the dumbest person knew something was wrong. Everyone couldn't help but quicken their pace, and under the military's direction, they headed home. They still thought other countries were going to war with the Dragon Kingdom. Little did they know that what was about to happen would be far more terrifying than they imagined. Before long, the streets were completely deserted. It was so quiet you could hear the wind blowing. Now, there were only 10 minutes left until 12 o'clock. The originally dazzling sun now looked as if it was covered by a red veil, making it hard to see clearly. The 10 minutes passed in the blink of an eye. Accompanied by a loud roar, the apocalypse officially began. Even with prior control measures in place, when facing the blood corpses, the entire Ning city still fell into utter chaos. On one side, blood cores were rampaging through the streets, relentlessly attacking the defense lines formed by soldiers. Countless residents were killed or injured on the spot. Some even had their corpses devoured entirely. As for those who awakened their innate mechas, they barely managed to survive. Some of those who failed to awaken mutated into blood cores. Helplessly, in order to survive, people were forced to kill their own friends, family, and partners. The same tragedies were playing out simultaneously everywhere. I went to the top floor of the abandoned building, looking down at everything happening in the distance. When the apocalypse broke out in my past life, I was too busy running for my life and never had the chance to observe it properly. But now, human civilization was destroyed in an instant. So many lost their loved ones, and many were forced to strike down the people they loved the most. Such an utterly tragic scene all stemmed from some bullshit will of the universe. I must see for myself what this will of the universe really is. The chaos continued into the afternoon without pausing. I took out a can of braised pork, heated it up a bit, and enjoyed my meal. By now, generators and water purifiers had completely failed. However, food wasn't affected much. That was a silver lining in this tragedy. Boss, I saw a lot of people hauling stuff in here yesterday, and it's covered by steel plates up there, so there's definitely good stuff inside. Hee, not bad, not bad. I always said you were the smartest among us. Boss, what if there's someone up there? Idiot, we got lucky and awakened those innate mechas. We can smash a car to pieces with one hit. Who could possibly be a match for us brothers? You're so wise, boss. If there's anyone up there, tell them to get lost. If they don't listen, we'll beat them up. Noisy chatter came from outside. I paused my movements, then continued eating as if nothing happened. It's the early stage of the apocalypse. With the Titan Mecha and the Celestial Mecha, I fear no one, even if I'm outnumbered. Boss, there's a chick here. Pretty hot, too. Let me see. Well, she really is. Are you alone, little lady? It's so dangerous out there right now. Why don't you follow us? We'll definitely keep you safe. The moment the man's voice faded, chaotic sounds of fighting rang out. Immediately after, a pure white mecha appeared. Seeing the white mecha in front of them, the 5 thugs paused. Then, 5 blackish-brown mechas covered in long spikes appeared simultaneously at the intersection. That animal was a wild boar. Having seen many mechas in my past life, I recognized the origin of these mechas at a glance. Whoa, the chick turned into a man. That's quite a magic trick. Boss, there's food. At this moment, a subordinate saw the food behind me and exclaimed in pleasant surprise, "Brother, you can't finish all this food by yourself. How about we all share it together?" I slurped up all the remaining gravy in the can and said casually, "Why should I share my stuff with you? Since you refuse to share, brother, then don't blame me, the boss, for being ruthless." With that said, he bent his legs into a half squat and charged forward fiercely. Lightning flash mecha, deploy. I shifted 2 steps and easily dodged it. Bang! Losing his target, the boss slammed headfirst into the concrete wall next to me, shattering it. Even the reinforced steel plates outside were dented heavily by the impact. The other 3 subordinates also charged at the same time. They rushed over like a herd of wild boars. I took my time, my body flashing constantly. I easily dodged their combined charge. Damn it. Kid, is running all you can do? Come fight your daddy. The boss adjusted his stance and charged again. Seeing this, I chuckled. The lightning flash mecha automatically transformed into the Titan Mecha. I reached out one hand and blocked his charge with just a single hand. The four subordinates all froze in shock. Their boss, who couldn't even be stopped by a steel plate, was actually stopped by a single hand. However, before anyone could react, an even more terrifying scene occurred. My arm suddenly transformed into a sharp claw. Striking a series of sparks across his body, the boss collapsed directly onto the ground. The mecha on his body shattered with a crash, turning into a small Rubik's Cube-like object. Killed mecha operator, Wang Hu. Tier 1. Obtained Tier 1 mecha core. After collecting the mecha core, I looked at the remaining 4 people. Holy crap, run! This guy isn't human. The 4 of them yelled out and fled blindly toward the outside. How could I give them the chance? I switched to the lightning flash mecha and finished them off. Although upgrading to Tier 2 only requires 2 mecha cores, I currently have 3 mechas that need materials. Why wouldn't I accept these free goodies delivered to my door? After taking care of everyone, I slowly walked upstairs and happened to see the white mecha peeking out. It's safe now. Come down. I'll give you 2 choices. 1, you leave here, but you cannot expose the existence of this place, otherwise I will kill you myself. 2, you stay here to guard my base and do some chores on the side. Your payment will be that food and water. I'm willing to stay here. My name is Guan Xilan. Guan Xilan's eyes quickly recovered from the panic. Whether it was my powerful combat abilities or the abundant food reserves here, they all undoubtedly proved my strength. With the apocalypse upon us, her parents had already turned into unrecognizable monsters. In order to survive, she had no choice but to rely on me now. The name Guan Xilan sounds very familiar. Just as I was thinking about it, Guan Xilan deactivated her mecha form, revealing her true appearance. Seeing her face, I suddenly recalled a photo I had seen before. The impact of ecological urbanization on local insect diversity. You're the author of that ecology article, aren't you? Yes, that's me. But that was my work from 3 years ago. It really is her. It seems my upcoming insect selection finally has a direction. My spirits lifted. This harvest is far better than those few mecha cores. With Guan Xilan here, my available insect choices wouldn't even be limited to those found in nature. I could fully focus on breeding special insect species. Absorbing the genes of those unique insects is the true way to use this super god-level talent. Swarm Overlord. I must keep Guan Xilan around. The mysterious items haven't appeared yet. Once I find a demonic scroll in a few days, I'll sign a contract with Guan Xilan. Then it will be perfect. After waiting another 2 hours in the abandoned building, I stood up and the Thunder Flash mecha automatically equipped. It was time to go out, hunt monsters, and gather mecha upgrade materials. You wait here. Don't make a single sound. Did you hear me? Okay. Leaving the abandoned building, I rushed toward the most densely populated area in the city. Newly formed blood zombies don't have strong combat power. This was the perfect time to collect upgrade materials. Not long after, I ran straight into a blood zombie. I didn't hesitate. My Thunder Flash mecha blinked right behind it. Then, I switched to the Titan mecha and extended its claws. In an instant, 2/3 of the blood zombie's head was gone. Killed. Tier 1 mutated blood zombie. Loot obtained. Strength blood core X1. Bloody nail X1. Just as I thought, after the mutation officially began, the drop rate of blood zombies increased significantly. Picking up the loot, I set my sights on another blood zombie. Killed. Tier 1 mutated blood zombie. Loot obtained. Flesh Essence X1. Flesh Essence could slightly boost mecha stats. I relished the slaughter of low to mid-tier blood zombies. Not for the thrill of it, but to gather more materials as quickly as possible, so I could grow stronger faster. With that in mind, I continued hunting blood zombies. Meanwhile, back at the abandoned building, Guan Xilan hadn't yet recovered from her fear. She took out her phone, intending to contact the outside world. She didn't dare expose her location, but simply wanted to see what was happening out there. Those terrifying monsters, and the mecha on her own body, all of this weighed heavily on her mind, leaving her breathless. However, when she took out her phone, she was completely dumbfounded. Suddenly, she heard from right outside the window a flurry of pigeons cooing. Immediately after, a loud bang echoed. The steel plate sealing the window abruptly bulged inward, as if something had slammed into it. Guan Xilan let out a gasp. Realizing her mistake, she quickly covered her mouth, but it was already too late. Clang, clang, clang. Continuous crashing sounds rang out. Dent after dent appeared across the steel plate. Hearing these terrifying sounds, she quietly picked up a sharp rock and gripped it tightly in her hand. Suddenly, the banging stopped. Guan Xilan breathed a sigh of relief, thinking the danger had passed. But right at that moment, the ceiling above her began to shake violently. Unfinished concrete debris and rubble rained down with a pitter-patter. Guan Xilan's face turned pale. In just a few moments, a hole the size of a wash basin appeared in the ceiling. Through the hole, Guan Xilan finally saw their true forms. Pigeons, a flock of mutated pigeons. They were impossibly huge. The lead pigeon was the size of a calf, its crimson eyes radiating a sinister aura. Crunch! It effortlessly crushed a chunk of concrete. As the dust cascaded down, the despair Guan Xilan felt was no less than when she was surrounded by those 4 men. Get away! Guan Xilan screamed. She hurled the stone in her hand toward the hole above. As luck would have it, the stone struck the pigeon leader right on its claw. Instantly, the leader's eyes grew even more crimson, and it began tearing through the rubble much faster. Seeing this, Guan Xilan fell into deeper despair. Was she really going to die here today? In a daze, she noticed through the hole above a flash of a black and gold silhouette. Then, a shrill shriek rang out, instantly pulling her back to reality. That's his mecha. Wild joy surged onto Guan Xilan's face. She quickly shifted her body, trying to get a better look at the battle above. What she saw was me on the roof, reaching out, grabbing a mutated pigeon by the neck, and giving it a vicious yank. In an instant, the mutated pigeon's head was separated from its body, turning into a lifeless pile of flesh and blood. Killed. Tier 1 mutated carrier pigeon. Loot obtained. Gray feather X1, mutated blood drop X1. Stowing the loot away, I looked toward the leader of the mutated pigeon flock. Another elite level mutant. I wonder what it'll drop. Muttering to myself, I charged straight at it. The fierce and vicious flock of pigeons was as tame as a herd of sheep in my hands. They couldn't put up the slightest resistance, and were soon completely slaughtered. Only the pigeon leader remained. Realizing that I was not to be trifled with, it spread its wings and took flight, trying to escape the abandoned building. Trying to run now? Too late. I casually picked up a stone slab from the ground and hurled it with all my might. With pinpoint accuracy, the slab smashed right into its forehead. Letting out a whimper, the pigeon leader plummeted straight to the ground. I followed right after, leaping off the building and stomped heavily on its body. The sheer weight of my mecha, combined with the massive impact of the fall, completely crushed the pigeon leader's body. Killed. Tier 1 elite mutated carrier pigeon. Loot obtained. Gray feather X5, auxiliary module, eye of detection, bone bomb blueprint X1. Seeing the rewards, I was momentarily stunned, and then I burst out laughing. Setting aside the basic material drops, the gray feathers could increase agility, but the eye of detection was an incredible item. Not only could it inspect basic info of mutated creatures, it could also conceal my own presence. Its stealth effects were outstanding. It was definitely an early game god tier skill. The bone bomb was equally as good. Its explosive power was immense, making it perfect for clearing out weaker blood zombies. If used correctly, just 3 bone bombs could easily obliterate several blood zombies. What's more, this blueprint could be used repeatedly for continuous production. With this, I could quickly accumulate early game wealth and proceed to upgrade my mecha. Although the crafting materials for the bone bombs were quite rare and precious, compared to the value of the bombs themselves, it wasn't even worth mentioning. The trading system would open tomorrow anyway, so there was no need to rush. Storing the blueprint, I headed back to the 5th floor. The ceiling had been heavily pierced by the pigeon flock, but it could still be patched up. I didn't move. I didn't attract them. I know it's not your fault. Don't be afraid. It's still not very safe here. If only we were like snails, able to carry our homes and run around the world. It's a pity there aren't many creatures like that. Actually, besides snails, there is an insect that also carries its home around. That sounds wonderful. I suddenly paused, then lunged forward and grabbed Guanxilan's arm. Guanxilan's expression changed drastically. She instinctively whipped out the rock she had prepared earlier and smashed it fiercely against the back of my hand. My eyes turned cold as I raised my hand and knocked the rock away. I'm not interested in you. I just want to know the name of that insect. Seeing that I didn't make any further moves, Guanxilan finally relaxed and slowly lowered her arm. Then, a strong wave of indignation welled up inside her. To this guy, she was actually less important than a bug.